And we are live, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Sports is My Love Language podcast. And I'm here with my crew. Ladies and gentlemen, man, it's a good show. I'm excited. We got a couple of people doing some big things behind the scenes, so they're not going to make it here today. But as always, I got, part of my crew. I got my man AK in the house. I got my man Javito. El Colombiano is in the house, always ready to drop their point of view. And like always, ladies and gentlemen, we invite you to join us and take a walk off the beaten path, man. Where basically you can come join us in the living room, and we're going to talk about stuff from a different perspective, man. I know a lot of times the news glosses over certain things, and they don't give you their real thoughts because they have a lot to lose, man. They got a lot to, um, they have to have some kind of strict guidelines based on who they have sponsoring them and what they have, who they have having their back and stuff like that. But over here, we can basically give you our opinion, and it's just like a barber shop. It's just like a living room. It's just like hanging out with your boys, with your girls, where you guys want to sit and you want to talk it up and have a conversation about it. Well, here we are tonight, man. We got a there's a huge time in sports, a lot of headlines to talk about. So let me introduce myself first. My name is your boy Dropping Dimes, aka the Hopeful Romantic, aka the feminist show with his tendencies. And I got my guy said right here, my man Colombiano Javito and my man AK. What's going on, AK? How you feeling, man? How's everything? Good, good stuff. Good stuff. You got a good show, man. Uh, I wanted to lead in. Obviously, there's so many headlines, but I wanted to lead in today, and I wanted to talk about. Let's start here. Let's start with Lamar Jackson has a huge contract, right? Huge contract coming up in front of him, right? And in lieu of what Deshaun Watson got, his there's a lot of speculation on what's next for that. Basically, the table has been set for Lamar on what the minimum he should be able to he should require, especially with his accolades. But first, I want to talk about this. Do you believe in momagers? Momagers. Apparently, Lamar Jackson's mother is the one negotiating his contract. She's the one saying yeah and nay. She's the one dotting the i's, crossing the t's. In the NFL, we all know that when you break down the salaries, I don't know exactly what the percentage is, but I think something like 10%, 50% goes to your agent or to your manager. So it's not a chump change, and after taxes and all that stuff, it's no wonder a lot of players, go bankrupt. So I never blame a player for trying to cut a corner, try to make sure they save a couple of pennies. But I'm interested to think at this level in pro sports, what do you think? Do you think go with a professional that a solid agency, or do you think we're at a day and age where technology dictates that we can go and do our own research and essentially do our own, managing? Hey, Kat, I want to start with you. What are your thoughts?
I think it's a little bit different because I think, when before you hear people who got burned, like, Ricky Williams comes to mind a little bit. There's a few people, but I think it's a little bit different now because number one, Lamar Jackson doesn't need to reset the market, first of all. He just needs to do what the last few quarterbacks have done, namely Deshaun Watson, right? So he doesn't need to reset the market. The parameters are essentially out there already. And then as long as his mom is not operating in the interest of herself and is operating in the interest of her son, she's still going to hire a lawyer. There's still going to be professionals involved. They're not hiring the main agent, right? So she's still going to have people who have contract lawyers, things of this and that are going to review the documents. I think it's okay as long as as long as she's working in his best interest and their relationship is tight and there's not, she doesn't complicate things. I think as long as she keeps it simple. The whole time that he's always talked about his contract, it seems like he wants to keep it fairly simple. So I think that as long as that symmetry is there, it could very well be okay. And I think we're in times where, this goes on across the board, guys, right? Like it used to be where if you wanted to invest, you had to call a stockbroker and then you had to go to the bank. Most of the people in our generation would say, I'll make a better stock pick myself than those guys. Like, you know what I mean? So things have changed. There's a lot more out there. There's a lot more information. There's a lot more exposure. There's a lot more confidence because of it when people are looking at what they're going to do with their own money or how they're going to negotiate X, Y, and Z. So if she's flying solo, then I'm not in favor of it at all. But if she has what I suspect she does, which is the right people to run it by, some professionals, some attorneys, XYZ, I think it can be completely fine. And then you look at it to exactly what you said. I mean, he's going to give his mom money anyway. So if she's, willing to put in a little bit of the time and she's willing to put in the effort and have his best interest in mind, then it's completely fine. I got no issues with it.
Javi, what are your thoughts?
Man, I think AK hit it on the head. Just the fact that she's going to be seeking lawyers to get approval on things that the let's just say the language might not be clear for her. So she's probably fully educated, and at the same time, man, who's got your back more than your mom? So like let's just put it that way, man. If mom is there, she's going to look as hard as possible at the contract just to make sure that her son gets the fullest out of it, right? And like AK said, he doesn't set the market, but if he makes 45 million a year, hey man, if 10% goes to mama, that's better. Keep it in house, right? Don't go to an agent right there, a 10% is pretty sweet deal, man. I wish I was a mother now thinking about it. But anyways, yeah, man, as far as as far as in nowadays and age, man, it's it's pretty much, you could go online, start researching things. But again, if you actually need a professional, man, I'm sure that, their network has grown within the past 4 years that, it's just a phone call away to basically say, hey, you know what? I'll pay you, $1,000 just to check this out, and it's not going to cost that much. So, I'm all for it.
Do you agree, Javi, that also when you're talking about now contracts potentially being fully guaranteed, it also takes a little bit of the negotiations out of play, right?
Yeah, I mean, as far as the quarterback is concerned, they're the ones that get, guaranteed money, right? Most of the time. So yeah, the negotiation process is just trying to get that guaranteed money more than anything at this point. And if there's already a market that already been set by, let's just say, a Kyler Murray or a Deshaun Watson, that's really what you're going after, right? The mom is like, that's what they got, that's what we're gonna get. And that's basically, and then the rest is just, crossing your T's and the I's on the rest of the rest of the language. But it's all about the guaranteed money. So, let's go, Mama Jackson. You got this. I'm sorry, Miss Jackson.
Hey, so Dre, we're talking about Lamar Jackson about to sign his mega contract, right? And it comes out that his mom has been doing his negotiation for him on the behalf of his contract. So you get a lot of negative press. And anytime you get a lead in, let's say on ESPN, or you get a lead in on Fox, you'll hear something like, oh, and by the way, with a little chuckle next to it, haha, do you know his mother's? And I'm like, oh, I don't get the same vibe, but I'm kind of guy with you guys. But Dre, I'm interested to hear what you have to say about
I would just say to those guys, they were probably the same ones talking shit about LeBron bringing his friends on when he first came in 2003.
There it is, right there, the Rich Paul.
And look at him now,
Yeah, you hit it right there, Rich Paul. Yeah.
It is what it is, man.
Yo, real dude, you hit it right. Yo, you took the point right from under me. I was like, everybody was laughing, right? When the kids started dancing to the mall, James, and now
he's got a bunch of guys that didn't go to college. What is he doing?
Right. Now he's one of the most powerful guys in sports, is Rich Paul. And here's
right, and he's dating Adele.
He's about to have a mega baby. Now, what do you call it? Yo, so check this out, right? We're in a day and age, and you touched on it. You don't have to go to a stockbroker. Now you can go through different avenues and platforms. When you want to write a book, you do not have to go through a publisher. You want to put out rap, hip hop, you don't have to go through a major record label. You know what I'm saying? Now we have these tools. And I think when you watch ESPN, when you watch all these major news networks, what they start to think is, therefore, through the grace of God go I. You feel me? They're like, well, if they can get rid of the agent and they can get rid of the ad avenue, who's to say they can't get rid of these networks that are talking sports, which is what we're watching happen now with the Draymond Greens of the world and all these guys having their podcasts. You know what I'm saying? Our podcast is starting to kick their ass. You know what I'm saying? This is what I'm talking about. We're just like, it's like the old guard in everything you do is starting to be eliminated. The middleman, the classic middleman. You know what I mean? I love the fact that, well, here's the thing. The narrative that's painted is that she's an uneducated woman. But then you go into her background and you research what she does, what she did. She was like a paralegal, what she did for a living, and how she, all the all the things that she did, you're like, oh, okay, there's some knowledge there. It's not a blank sheet of paper that she's working off of. Number one. Number two, like you guys said, a lot of the work has already been done. A lot of the negotiation, except he's a better human being, except he's a better student of the game, except, you know what I'm saying? So everything is working in his favor when negotiating. So,
Who knows under what conditions though? Who knows that in Lamar's contract with that guy over the past 3 years that a clause wasn't putting his mom on how to run game and shit. Like nobody knows and shit. Because that's personal business that nobody needs to know. You know what I'm saying? All that it is that him as the professional trusts her as the professional to handle his affairs. Like that's it.
Yeah, my whole thing is the whole time is like you'll see anytime, like I said, anytime you watch ESPN, anytime you watch, just pay attention. Go back and go look through the little clips. And anytime they start to mention his contract, the one that really stands out to me that rubs me the wrong way is in the morning I watch he's like an old school Dan something, I forgot his name. He every single time he talked about Lamar's mom doing his contract, he did this little smirk thing like over the radio, like and I'm just like, what is the smirk about? Like,
is that Dan you talking about Dan Orlovsky?
No. He's an older guy. Dan Patrick. Dan
Orlovsky is pretty balanced, though. I like that.
Yeah, I like him. He does that. He did that little smirk. I'm like, what is this? But then you realize, oh, okay, he's protecting the interest of the big corp. You know what I'm saying? Remember, he has to side with everything that represents big corp because pretty soon he'll be eliminated because he's part of big corp, and you're not going to need a middleman. You're not going to need that.
But can Universal Records and Columbia Records get caught in a phone conversation saying, look at Drake trying to put out his own music. What the fuck is wrong with these guys trying to start their own label and do it without majors? Like, what are they thinking, going against conventional? But conventional still works, but other things are also working.
And that's what they're afraid of. That's the mark. That's, if anything, we walk away with that. That's what I think it is. It's fear-based. It's fear-based because if this works, who's to say that the next big contracts aren't going to be managed? That 15, 20%, that 10%, whatever it is that they take, is no longer going to go toward these INGs and MGs and all these different corporations that handle that. And that's a whole other defunct section of the, what do you call it? But we got a couple.
It's gonna be diluted, Mike. But that's always going to exist because not everybody has a mom or a dad or an uncle like Lamar Jackson, right? And I'll just say this: I hope and pray that the first thing she does is buy that law firm she worked for, so now they work for her.
Hell yeah, right? So like, you own me, I own you now.
But hold on. But on the other, let's just take it a little bit further now. What about advertising deals? You know what I'm saying? The marketing aspect of it. Is she going to be fluent in that? Because now there's other avenues besides just being the agent of the football contract. There's other things that, if you have an agency, they're going to be looking for, let's just say, sponsors and things like that you could make extra money off. Does she have those connections now? Yep. I don't know. These are just, I think, fair questions to ask at this moment as well.
That's a great point. She's got to be willing to work her tail off. Like, if you're going to have somebody who does that, they got to be willing to work hard. And it's so much harder to replace like a publicist or somebody who's getting those type of endorsements than it is somebody who's negotiating your contract with today and age. That's a really good point.
I always wonder though, like for instance, let's say like a Scott Boras, right? Like in baseball, Scott Boras owned, like he was the agent of like all the top players at one point. And I say a guy like him, he walks in, right? And Dave Chappelle has a joke related to this about Netflix, but I want to go this route with it. He walks into a room and he talks to the president or the owner of the New York Mets, but they're buddy and they go golf every weekend, right? It's in his best interest to protect not only his player, but also to protect the relationship that he has with the New York Mets, right or wrong. So it's almost like, you know what? Now what we're doing is we're kind of almost protecting this. We're kind of circumventing this new age double dip that I feel that these agents do. I feel like a lot of them double dip, man. I feel like they have the best interest of your player because that's where they're giving their biggest percentage. But think of it like this: if I have 5 players, right, and I'm trying to get Javito the best deal with the New York Giants, right? But guess what? I got 3 players that maybe aren't as good as Javito, right? And I come around and I do right by the Giants with Javito, so they look at me and they're like, "Well, you did right." You know what I'm saying? It's that relationship building I don't trust. You know what I'm saying? I almost feel like it becomes a conflict of interest whenever these big managers, these big agents get too big. Because like I said, man, if I bring you in, now I'm not just negotiating on your 10%, 15%. I'm also negotiating for a future player that I might have on the sideline. So I have to preserve these relationships. Whereas with your mom, it's like she comes in and she's like, I don't give a F about any of you. My only interest is my baby. You know what I mean? And that's the only one. So from that point of view, I'm like, I'm all in with the mom. But like you said, how you touched on something really important. When it gets to the scope of like dealing with Nike and dealing with these bigger companies, now let's see if she's as versed. Because when you're dealing with a contract that's kind of already set on the table, it's different than when you have to really set the table with a contract with Nike and stuff like that. But we're going to transition. With that being said, right? We all agree, man. So he's up for a huge contract. And even from the beginning of our podcast, one of the most polarizing players that I've come across in a long, long time is Lamar Jackson, right? Now, here's the crazy thing. I don't think to a man anybody thinks he's a bad player or thinks he's even not good. To a man, I don't think anybody thinks he's not good. All right. So we can start from there. But from not good to some people think he's elite, there's a huge, huge gap. And now that he's about to get paid, my question to you guys is, where does he land on your spectrum? You know what I'm saying? I know for the most part, everybody's going to be like, he's a good player, like I said, but I'm really interested to know, be specific, even if you want to name 2 quarterbacks where he's in between, but where do you think he lands? And tell me, do you think he's worth the money that he's about to get? Javito, what do you think?
All right. I've always been a Lamar Jackson fan. So, me, I'm all about giving him the money, regardless of what it is. 45 to 50 million a year, just give it to him. He's a freak athlete, and he hasn't had a great receiving corps. He's had a really good tight end, a top 3 tight end, no doubt. But as far as the receivers go, there hasn't been anything there that tells you, oh, they're a number 1 receiver. Now, I get it as to why people have that gap between, he's a good one and elite. And it's all coming down to the playoffs, because that's where, men become men as opposed to boys becoming men. But yeah, my bad, he, she, whatever the case may be. But anyways, I think that's where it is, man. It's all about the playoffs, right? If Lamar Jackson continues to be great there in the regular season, but then all of a sudden just, gets knocked out in the first round consistently, we start questioning, his value as how great of a quarterback is he, but, we haven't seen much of anything else but him being this freak athlete and a tight end, So once I see a receiving corps that I could justify and say, all right, here we go. Now we're going to have the full report. Can he make these throws to these good receivers, or let's just say great receivers? Because here I'm going to go back to Michael Vick. He's basically what Michael Vick was in Atlanta, but I think Lamar Jackson's better than what Michael Vick was in Atlanta. But when Michael Vick had a coach, what's his name? The Kansas City, comes out of I can't remember his name right now. I don't know why. Andy Reid.
Okay.
On the Eagles. And he had Deshaun Jackson. And who's the other? Who was the other one? AK? The other Macklin? Jeremy Macklin, was it? I can't hear you. You're on mute.
Macklin they had, and then also LaShawn McCoy.
And LaShawn McCoy. Now, that's a very good group. And Michael Vick balled. Like, he was considered like an MVP candidate. That's how much he balled. So that's what I would like to see a Lamar Jackson have, something like that type of receiving corps, that you got the deep threat, which to me, I thought, fake Hollywood Brown was, but he's not Deshaun Jackson. He's just speed. but they don't have somebody else to basically tell me, all right, yeah, let's see what he really has as a true quarterback right now. Right now, it's just a running game and throw to the tight end. But give him his money. He's worth it. He's a winner, and it's been obvious.
Tyson says, if Kirk Cousins got a bag, right, for throwing, for throwing the ball, imagine what a former type MVP should get. It's true. He's absolutely right. Kirk Cousins got the bag. I believe that. AK, what are your thoughts? What are your thoughts on Lamar Jackson?
I think he's arguably the back end of a top 5 quarterback in the league. I mean, he's definitely top 10. I think you can, even though he may not have some of the throwing numbers, and again, he led the league in touchdown passes 2 or 3 years ago, that MVP year. So like that's without all the stuff that we talked about. I think that he's going to get the max contract that there's no max contract. It's the NFL, but he's going to be on par with what the last couple of quarterbacks who also are fringe top 5 to 7 quarterbacks in Watson and Kyler Murray and are gotten. You have to give it to them. Their offense is not. What are they going to do? Like, they have a really good team. They had a big decrease in wins and they didn't make the playoffs last year, but that was on top of literally almost 90% of the roster getting injured, at least the impact players. So like this team is going to be a really good team. I don't know how far they're going to go, but they're going to be a really good team. And you're not going to get rid of a quarterback who won an MVP who does so much while you have a really good team. So there's no option here. The question is, how many hundreds of millions is he going to get? Not whether or not he's going to move on from Baltimore right now because they think that he's not worth whatever he's requesting or whatever that market dictates. So no, I think you got to pay him. I think he's a fantastic player. I think we don't like it's hard to even gauge how good of a passer he is in certain ways because he doesn't have that type of an offense. He doesn't have that, that's not what it is there. They have a different philosophy. So I enjoy watching him play. I think he's a full plus on the field. And I expect him to continue to get better. I really do. As long as they can stay healthy, that team is really good, and the division will be competitive. And right now, I mean, it's going to be between, you got Watson and Burrow also in that division. So let's see. He's going up against some good quarterbacks. And I just think Baltimore always has a good team, even though they may not, kind of lead the league in airing it out most of the time.
Yeah. Dre, what are your thoughts on Lamar Jackson? We got coming on.
So I feel like Lamar Jackson suffers from being too similar to what was different and scared people a while ago. Like it's happened a few times, right? Happened with Randall Cunningham, happened with Cordell Stewart, happened immensely with Michael Vick. But then Michael Vick tamed himself by getting himself into the whole extracurricular activities for the I told you so to be able to be shouted from the mountaintop. But now with Lamar, they see a little bit of discipline there, even though it's unconventional. They see discipline and they see growth, and they're scared of that because that being the new normal is a standard that they don't see a lot of people being able to attain. A standard that they call great quarterbacks right now, drop back 3-step, 4-step, read routes and pass. That's not going to be the standard if they praise Lamar Jackson. The new standard will be somebody who can move around, somebody who reads plays on the fly, somebody who's a little cavalier. That will be the new standard, and they're not ready for that. So they're not allowed to put him where he rightfully deserves to be, which is, like AK says, definitely in the top 10 quarterbacks in the NFL. I can't argue for him in the top 5 because of consistency and the combination of playoffs plus regular season. But dynamic and all that other stuff, come on, man. You can't take 5, 6 guys in front of him with like game on the line and you need a play. How many guys can you pick in front of him that you would choose, that you would trust?
I agree with you on every point you just made. And I'll double down by saying this. Lamar Jackson is younger than Joe Burrow. He's younger than Herbert. He's younger than Josh Allen. He's younger than every starting quarterback of substance. Of substance. He's short, he's younger than all of them. And he's already been in the league 3 years, and he has an MVP. And but 4 years, he's in four. Look at that. 4 years, already has an MVP, playoff appearance, a significant playoff win. You know what I mean? No significant weapons to talk about outside of Andrews, right? And he is a victim of his talent. He's a victim of his talent. I'll never forget, right? What do you call it? I was part of a sales team years ago, and we had this guy. He came in with the gift of gab. He came in with the gift of gab like a storm. Sold everything in the store. Just it was crazy. And what we realized was he needed very little training. He just came in. It was a natural. But then there came a point where the dry season came and the sales weren't coming so easily, right? But he hadn't had the training. Why? Because we looked at him and thought that he was such a natural that he can go. He could even coast through the hard times. So we didn't coach him like we coached the guys that were weak. We coached the guys that were weak early so that when the storm came, they were ready. They were good. They were like, okay, I've kind of seen this before. I've been struggling all along anyway, right? Lamar is going through the same thing. Lamar came in. He took the league by storm, right? He's a monster. He's an animal. He's a talented guy. He can make 5 people miss. He could win a game single-handedly against, you know what I'm saying, give him a defense and a couple of points, and he's going to win you the game. Well, unfortunately, that's beautiful, right? But just like that early sales guy, that's great when times are good. But when you get a couple, you get some film on him and you start to surround the defense around stopping him, now it's up to the coaching to evolve. And a lot of what we see here, I know because he's such a great talent and because he's gotten accolades already, a lot of people put it at his feet. What's wrong with Lamar? Lamar this, Lamar that? How come nobody ever stops and said, hey, man, what's wrong with the coaching in Baltimore? Remember, Jim Harbaugh was going to lose his job before freaking Lamar Jackson took over. He was on the verge of losing his job. He wasn't like the steady coach that was doing big things. He was about to lose his job after Flacco. And what ends up happening? He brings in the superstar that freelances and basically says, I don't need coaching. I could win you the game regardless. And now, when times are tough, this is when the coaching should take over. And okay, let's reorganize this scheme. Let's do the kid as a Heisman Trophy when he could throw the ball. We saw him throw the ball in college. He threw the ball. He had yards. Well, he didn't just win the Heisman because he ran the ball. And he was throwing to a plumber and a guy that freaking probably babysits now on the weekend because there was no NFL talent on his Louisville team, not one. You know what I mean? So to me, it's like, not only is he younger than all these guys, right? We have not seen his potential. He has not reached his ceiling. 0 character issues, which is huge. 0 work ethic issues. Every time he talks on the mic, he says the right thing. His team to a man loves him as a leader. Doug, this guy, there's nothing to complain about. Now, do I put him ahead of a Josh Allen? No, Josh Allen is that unique human. He's that unique quarterback, bro. He's that unicorn. Patrick Mahomes, same thing, unicorn. And then you got the guys that have history on their side that they put stuff together. Here's where I jump off the train. Where I start to get upset is when it comes to Lamar Jackson, we don't take into consideration everything he's accomplished, right? But when you talk about other quarterbacks, they talk about potential, never about what they've actually accomplished. And I'm like, these guys, he's out accomplished all of them. He's done more than all of them. Why is this guy not like, you know what I'm saying? And it's like Dre said, it's the status quo. They don't like that full shift to running quarterback. They don't, that's too much. And what I say is that I have a feeling that this year Lamar Jackson's going to do some big things. He's going to have another big year. So I think we're about to see something beautiful because apparently in the offseason he dedicated himself not only to throwing the ball but to his craft. So we'll see.
Let me ask you this.
Go ahead.
Since you talked about we're basing it off potential, right? And I guess one of those guys that we keep on seeing in the top 3 list of quarterbacks is Justin Herbert, right? We see see already the talent, but I guess the potential is basically rising, keeps on he keeps on rising in the ratings, right? Yeah. And I'm just saying, if Lamar Jackson had those receivers and even that running back in Ekeler, doesn't he just that become more amazing? You know, and that's the question I keep on asking.
And if you flip them, you think Herbert can do on the Ravens what Lamar has been able to do on the Ravens?
No, and that's the whole thing. Unless the running game is full throttle for the Ravens, who's he throwing to? Like, is he making Hollywood Brown that much better?
No. Let's see. We got some comments.
Go ahead.
Tyson says the Ravens play Jackson's strength. How they walked all week. Yeah, it's true. We'll see this coming year. So yeah, we will see this upcoming year. Herbert is. I'm just gonna do this. I ain't gonna stay.
We got through. And maybe we don't want to talk about it, but it could be something like as well.
There's an underlying tone with there.
You know what I'm saying?
But what I like to do is the thing is, there's an underlying tone outside of our conversation. Within us, I don't, what I'm saying, that's not really like we're talking Lamar. We're different than that type of conversation. We understand that. You know what I'm saying? It's like,
yeah.
Oof. I really want to.
Let's move on to the next comment.
All right. So the next part of the conversation is the gift that keeps on giving, man. My man AB. AB is he should be like a national treasure, bro. That guy just keeps on giving. He just keeps on giving. Slow news day. Let's find out where he's at, what he's doing. He puts out a tweet, right? I'm going to paraphrase the tweet. In the tweet, he says that he doesn't understand how Tom Brady basically gets away with walking away from the team for 2 weeks, but when he did it, it was a problem, right? And that led me to believe, all right, we can talk about him being in the news all the time. So the first part of this is going to be, what are your thoughts on his comment, all right? And the second part is going to be, what are your thoughts on what do you call it? Do you think he's a Hall of Famer? So we will see. Let's see first. Who's that coming in here? Somebody was in. Okay. First things first. Avito, what are your thoughts, man? What are your thoughts on your boy AB?
First off, he's not my boy. All right. But I don't know, man. I feel like whenever I read anything from him, I do one of these. I'm like, here. I was reading through some of the comments of people I have on Facebook, on social media, and Wanda Pena, he posted it, and I actually read what he wrote, and I kind of agree with him. How do you throw that guy that actually was wanting you on his team, not only on the Patriots and the Buccaneers? How do you keep on throwing this? Why are you throwing him under the bus? Like, what is it? Are you really trying to show this double standard? Because let's just talk about the reality. Tom Brady, 20 years in, you know what I'm saying? Multiple MVPs, Super Bowl champion, gets a different form of respect than somebody that consistently has to bark at Ben Roethlisberger, Tom Brady, the Raiders. I mean, are we not catching a pattern here? Yes, AB, you were a great receiver. Nobody's taking that away from you. But your antics, it's your antics that's causing all of this. That's why you get treated differently.
I know what it is, bro. I figured it out.
What is it?
I don't even mean to skip the regular cycle or whatever, but it just goes off of something that Javi was just saying. I swear to God, I figured it out, bro. Antonio Brown has ADD.
Something. Yeah.
And he has it so badly that he wishes to be in the positions of other people that have put in a lot of work when he hasn't put in a quarter of that work. As far as you don't just work by going to practice. Ask a college athlete how much of the work is on the field. It's only like 40%. You better hit them study halls. You better hit them gyms. You know what I'm saying? It's just a part of it. And he feels like because he's a master at the part that comes natural to him, that he does not have to work on the parts that do not come natural to him.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's not the way shit works.
I also think he picks the wrong fight, bro. I don't. Number one, I'll be honest with you. I don't say this a lot about a lot of athletes, bro. I don't say I'm not going to go down this road about a lot of athletes, but there's two things about Antonio Brown that I firmly believe. Number one, he's not that bright, and he never was. All right, he never was. He never was. There's nothing in his history, looking back, that ever says that we were dealing with a genius. All right, so let's take that off the table. He's an athlete. Nothing ever said he was dealing with a genius. That's number one. Number two, the hit that he took from Vontaze Burfict, right, that knocked him unconscious. I don't care what anybody says, bro. There's a clear line of delineation between before and after that, who he became.
Yes.
Now, unless the Steelers hid the asshole that he was prior to that, then I don't know. You know what I'm saying? Then the Steelers are, and they are that type of organization. They're amazing at hiding, and ducking shit. You know what I'm saying? But there is a clear line from the day that he got smacked and rocked in the head by Vontaze Burfict. Because after the Bengals hit him, and then Hines Ward, I think it was Hines Ward that got the revenge, right? Or something like that after that. But he got rocked. And let me tell you something. That guy has, all of a sudden, all this stuff comes out about him. It was never the same. So now, I don't want to claim CTE with him, but holy shit, bro, if there's ever been somebody that I would like to see a case study on, it's him before the hit from Vontaze Burfict and him after, bro. Because afterwards, all of a sudden, it's like his mouth started working. And all of a sudden, and the emotions and the outbursts. And again, unless the Steelers are really, really good, and I think they are, so I will put that out there, at hiding a lot of these behaviors. And Mike Tomlin is an expert at controlling his locker room. But other than that, bro, that happened, bro. That happened. That guy got rocked. He was out there unconscious, laid out flat. Prior to that, he was the 6th-round pick that worked really hard, that had just gotten paid. He had just got his money for about a year or two like that. He was still the hardest working guy in the room, was the best wide receiver in the league compared to guys twice his size. And then all of a sudden, his mouth starts to work. And you're like, what happened, bro? The only thing
social media killed the wide receiver position.
Oh, that's a good point, bro. It really did, because they were always loud. But now with social media, now everybody wants to be heard.
T.O.'s doing sit-ups in the driveway way before Facebook.
Right. And all of that stuff bro, what happened to the Jerry Rice attitude? Scored a touchdown, give the ball to the ref.
It's old school.
Yeah.
And he was the baddest MF out there.
Yeah.
Mind you, though,
what happened to that?
The NFL doesn't want Jerry Rice or Barry Sanders. They want the loud. They want the people who are attention.
They want the Ocho Cinco.
Yep.
Yeah, they want the Ocho Cinco. They want that, man. You know what I'm saying? It's good. It used to be the no fun league, and then they started adding all this other stuff.
To be Cristiano Ronaldo, you have to be selfish. To be Michael Jordan, you have to be selfish. But you also have to be all the other things that can actually help the team.
And that's you make a great point, because check this out, right? Is it you're allowed to be as selfish and as loud and as whatever as you want to be while there's a return on the investment. So for instance, you could be that brash, annoying, loud, whatever it was, while your skills are still up. It's the day that your skills start to diminish that the mouth no longer is worth it. You know what I mean? Like, look at a T.O. When a T.O. was top tier, yeah, they record him doing all kinds of wild shit and funny shit. But it wasn't until maybe there was like a slip in performance that all of a sudden now, T.O. in the mouth. And then it destroyed.
No, that's not true, Mike, because that year that he did that was the year after we went to the Super Bowl and he led the NFL in touchdowns. And he came back after breaking his foot and playing in the Super Bowl and got 122 yards. He was at the peak at that time.
Yeah, but I'm saying this. You ever notice that players that like a Des Bryant, players like an Ocho Cinco, players that have these larger than life.
You're right conceptually, right? Like when you're a beast, people will let you get away with more. I think, but I don't know if you guys have touched on this part, but yeah, like 100%, he's a Hall of Famer. The guy has 83 touchdowns to 7 fumbles. He's exactly 72 receptions away from 1,000 receptions. He's over 1,200 yards on his career. That's 12 seasons of 1,000 yards. He's over 12,000 yards. Excuse me. That's like not that he played 12 seasons, but just on an average, if you were to. So, 100%, he's a Hall of Famer. And I don't think anything he's done takes away from him being a Hall of Famer. That would be cheap if they didn't do that because he acted up. But I also think when you're a 6th-round player, you come in humble. And then it took him a while to get that type of, cockiness or confidence or however you want to put it, to where he started behaving a little bit differently. I also think that him, saying, "Oh, well, Brady did this, why can't I do this?" is number one. That's like saying, that's literally like somebody saying on the Bulls that Michael Jordan was allowed to do this. Why couldn't I do this? Like, Brady's the best player that's quarterback that's ever played the game. So he's going to get away with stuff. You just know that's the way it goes. As far as CTE and ADD, I think you guys could both be right. Like, I'm not a doctor. I just play one on TV. So you guys could both be right on that. But there's something wrong with homeboy. There's no question there's something wrong with him. What it is, I don't know.
Working
But
at
but there's something wrong with him, and he can still play this game. Like, that's where I wonder. Like, I hear and always respect Dre's opinion. I wonder, like, does he not put in that other extra time off the field? Because whenever he does get on the field, he's still a beast. Like, he'll get out there tomorrow and he'll get 7 catches for 100 yards, probably a TD. So I don't know. I think it's a shame that he's not going to be able to play anymore, because some of the stuff he's put out is just stupid. Like the whole white girls and this and that. Like, there's no value in that. It's just stupid. Now he's got people like Floyd and other people right now who are in his corner who are pushing him on this and that. And I heard 1 or 2 of his rap songs. I mean, to me, they're completely trash. But I don't know. Maybe, you guys are in Florida. I remember my little brother telling me, "Oh, dude, you don't know about Fort Lauderdale? Kodak Black is like the thing down there." And I'm like, I can't listen to one of that man's songs. So I don't know. Just because it's not my thing, it doesn't mean it's not other people's thing.
I was Kodak Black's CEO for like 18 months that he was locked up.
Yeah, apparently. Like, my only point in that is just because I don't appreciate his music. Maybe it's good to some people. But Hall of Famer, obviously he's got certain issues. Obviously those issues have cost him the ability to play football. What's going to happen in the NFL? What's going to happen from here on out is he's going to become a caricature, and hopefully he's with people that are helping him invest his money, so he's not ending up broke on, broken in a couple of years.
If he doesn't, I see a Delonte West type future. I see that like that happening. You know what I mean? Because
that's a little like Delonte West though. Remember, he was diagnosed with mental health issues when he was like in high school.
Oh,
like, he's always had bipolar and things like that. He's just been able to keep it in check for X period of time until he wasn't anymore.
Somebody said his antics will cost him the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, I hope not, because he deserves to be in there.
Let's explore that. I think that you have to, like, for it to cost you the Hall of Fame, you kind of got to go into like Ray Rice, O.J. Simpson type territory. Am I correct? Like, or is it, what's the fine line? What's the line?
Ain't nobody going to O.J. Simpson territory.
Yeah.
He's in his own territory. Well, let me rephrase that. Marcus Allen went into O.J. Simpson territory, and that's what started the whole thing.
Yo, for real. I will say this.
That's deep. I don't know if you caught that.
Aaron Hernandez.
That's bad. That's dark. They got dark real quick. I believe he's a Hall of Famer, right? But I do have a question. One of the criteria when it comes to Hall of Fame people, I want to say, was he the best at his position? Right? So I want to play a quick game of who would you rather. Just start. Who would you take? Clear cut. Just who would you take between the two players? All right, with A/B addition. All right. So I'll name receiver A, receiver B. Receiver A, Julio Jones or Antonio Brown. A/B, anybody, whoever wants to answer, go ahead. You jump on it. A/B or Julio Jones?
Julio Jones.
I call that a wash.
I'm going the best abilities, availability. I'm going A/B. I'm going early, like prime A/B. I'm going A/B. He was always on the field, never left anything behind. I felt like Julio Jones, he mailed in a couple of injuries sometimes. Oh, I'm not ready. I'm not. Especially towards the end with Matt Ryan. I don't know. Oh, Schefter said this. Julio. All right. So we got that. Okay. Megatron or A/B?
Megatron.
Yeah, I'm gonna
Megatron. Yeah.
Okay, I go Megatron too. I go Megatron. Okay, I got one. I got a better one for you. My man from the Cardinals.
Fitz,
Now University Love out of Pittsburgh. University
Fitzgerald.
Gerald Fitz, yeah. Fitz or AB.
I mean, at his prime, nobody could stop Fitz. Nobody could stop Brown either. That's tough.
Let me bring it back to Julio Jones. Julio Jones came in 2011, has played more games than Antonio Brown, and Antonio Brown came in 2010. So I don't know about this availability stuff that you're talking about.
Say it again.
What I'm saying is Antonio Brown came into the NFL in 2010.
Right.
Julio Jones came in 2011. Julio Jones has played more games than Antonio Brown. So this whole availability thing, I don't see it.
Yeah, you remember the first 2 years that AB was in the league, he wasn't a starter. He became a starter. Remember, he was a 6-round pick. He earned his way in. So that kind of like balances that why, you know what I'm saying, those games were off. I think the first couple of seasons, if you want to say started, he didn't really start that many games. He started like 7 games, 8 games, and then it progressed until he became a starter. That's where like his buildup was. But all right, so hold on. We were at Fitz. Who do you got, Fitz or
Fitzgerald?
Fitzgerald?
Yeah.
Okay, Andre, Fitzgerald or AB? Who would you take?
Fitzgerald, early, discipline.
Oh, okay.
Dre's,
You know, he has more drops.
Dre's the character guy, man. Dre's the character guy. You can't hate him for that.
No drops, bro. No drops.
Yeah, he has no drops. I got okay. What about Julio Jones or AB?
Overtime, Julio Jones.
Overtime, Julio Jones. Okay. All right. Odell Beckham or not? No, just fucking with you guys. All right, let me see. I got a good wide receiver. Let's go. Andre Johnson, right? Or AB?
Andre Johnson.
Yeah.
You take Andre Johnson?
Yeah,
Andre Johnson or AB?
Andre Johnson.
Steve Smith over AB.
No, I take AB. You take Andre Johnson. You take that's a good one. Let's go there. Steve Smith or AB?
More dependable.
I like both of them, bro. I like both of the way they played. But I'm gonna go.
You can book AB for 100 yards and 7 or 8 catches every time he plays.
I never saw. Okay, did you ever see AB get shut down by any corner? I can't remember one. I don't remember him getting shut down by any cornerback. I've never heard of that. Like where he had a game for like three catches for 35 or 5 catches for whatever. I never heard that from AB.
Steve Smith Sr. was a bad man, bro.
He got shut down by Darrelle Revis for 3 catches and 35 yards, 0 TDs, and 1 interception.
Did AB ever go up against Darrelle Revis one-on-one?
Nobody does. Yeah, it's not fair.
There's no islands after Revis. You can't. That don't count.
Yeah, that's true. You're right.
There's no Primes or Revises after that. Who's the next guy?
Taylor Ramsey.
Yeah, but Ramsey gets tamed sometimes.
Patrick Peterson in his prime.
Yeah.
Right? Very fast and recovers fast. But what I'm saying is like everybody gets shut down by the Revis, bro. That don't count, really. I don't see that. I don't hold that against Steve Smith being shut down by Darrelle Revis.
Yeah,
might have just had his number.
He did that to Randy Moss, so he did that to anybody.
Yeah, bro.
All right.
Revis was different, bro.
Yeah, he was a monster. That's my guy. That's my favorite all-time player. Okay, so one more. Let's go one more receiver. Let's see if we can play with one more receiver. I'm trying to think of somebody that's really dependable. I'm gonna go with. If you could go with AB and see Debo's too young. I'm trying to think of like an older receiver, but that's putting some work. Think of a good receiver, man. Somebody that's putting some work that you could compare him to. I don't know. Point being, AB's a Hall of Famer, bro. He's solid. He was the best at his position for a long time. He was undersized, overproduced.
And Bolden.
I just hope that, like people say, his off the field antics don't get the best of him because he is an Hall of Fame talent.
That's the problem. The problem is the Hall of Fame set that precedent for wide receivers when they held T.O. out.
Yeah, but he's in now.
Of course he's in now, but what I'm saying is T.O. didn't do stuff anywhere close to as egregious as AB.
You're right, and they held it against him. So that's
For
what
you know what I'm saying? It was held against them. What I'm saying is a lot of people won't want to put their vote next to AB. If they could vote anonymously, they will vote him in. But I feel like a lot of people would be embarrassed to vote him in as a first ballot.
Yeah, he won't be first ballot probably.
I hate the criteria for wide receivers. I think it is so harsh.
Right.
You know, when you got quarterbacks like, and I love my Jets, but like a Joe Namath that gets in, and then you
Right.
the criteria that wide receivers like a Marvin Harrison, a Torrey Holt, these guys aren't in the world. You know what I'm saying? There's some positions, bro, that get absolutely screwed. Middle linebacker, you got to damn near be God at middle linebacker to be able to get into the NFL. They talk about Zach Thomas, London Fletcher, not Hall of Famers, and their numbers are comparable to anything these other players do. Yet, you know what I'm saying? Wide receiver, you have to be like, your numbers have to be all world to be considered a first ballot Hall of Famer. You know what I'm saying? It's insane. But
You
then
know what I found out about a Hall of Famer, Troy Polamalu, last night?
what's that?
He practiced against a stick for 3 months to prevent a stiff arm. He was doing a kung fu flip move to turn a stiff arm into a tackle for him. So he would, in essence, grab the guy by the elbow and the shoulder, using the stiff arm that the guy attempted on him, and flip him over. YouTube that shit. He's done it like 17 times.
That's some like whenever I watch like Aaron Donald do his exercise, I'm just like, these guys are superhuman, bro.
Exactly.
They do the wildest shit. You're like, I could do all the steroids in the world.
Right. I'm never gonna be able to do that.
Never do that. Never. But all right, all right, we're gonna move on, man. We're gonna move on, and then the next one is obviously the main headline of today. Deshaun Watson decision came down. He had originally gotten 6 games, and now they pushed him off, and he has 11 games and a $5 million fine. And we're not, we can go as deep as you want to go, but I'm more interested in fair, not fair. Are you good with it? Where do you land on this decision of 11 games, $5 million? Javito, what are your thoughts?
Might as well, give him more games than what they originally gave him. Give him the fine, and let's just call it a deal. And week 12, Deshaun Watson's going to throw for 400 yards, 5 touchdowns, and he's going to be, bringing the Browns into the playoffs.
Oh, that's a bold prediction. You guys heard that? He said Browns playoffs.
Playoffs. They can't even win a game.
Shit, I don't know.
We'll see what happens, man.
That's a tough call. Playoffs. AK, what are your thoughts? Where do you land on the whole situation?
My thoughts are I'm goddamn tired of talking about Deshaun Watson already.
Right.
Wish that guy would go away. Yeah, I mean, I think it's fine. 11 games, $5 million. Do it, get it over with. Hopefully, he's learned his lesson, and let's just move on. Brissett. I don't know where they're going to be. I think they can still beat Pittsburgh. I think Cincinnati's a tough draw. I think Baltimore, we don't really exactly know what their offense is going to look like. I think their defense is going to be fantastic. They may have got the steal of the draft with that safety from Notre Dame. Their secondary is fantastic, really good. They had a lot of injuries last year. So I think it's going to be a little tougher for Cleveland than we expect because they're going to lean on the run. They don't really have, Cooper's a fine receiver. Who else are they throwing to? So I suspect that they're going to struggle a little bit without that game changer at quarterback. And then I'm curious to see how Watson plays after not playing for essentially 2 years. I don't think we've seen that before with a quarterback.
A Facebook user just commented, Deshaun's first game back is against the Texans. Is that a coincidence?
Nah, I think that, that's a
what
nice
I'm
way.
saying. That's what I'm saying.
Game.
You know what I'm saying, Javi?
That's why I said 400 yards, 5 touchdowns, man.
Wow. I'm going to say this. Here are my thoughts, man. I have 2 sets of thoughts. Actually, I got a lot of thoughts on this shit, to be honest with you. But, no, for real, man. I watched a lot on it, and it upset me at one point, and just a lot of AK, you said something a while back that really resonated with me when we were talking about this. You're like, you're a girl dad, and I'm a girl dad. It's true, man. And it just all started really, really coming through. And here's where I came down with it. At first, I heard the verdict, and I said 11 games, 5 million. Okay, that's more along the lines of right, right. That's more along the lines of right. The word justice should not be thrown around in this because there's no justice for the people that got screwed. The women, they got screwed, right? There's no justice for them. But in fairness, okay, it falls into that parameter. But then I started to think, and I said to myself, man, yo, women are under attack in this country, bro. And this is just another example of how the NFL comes off looking scot clean and fresh, and yeah, we got this right. But in reality, in the big scope of things, women got the shaft again. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to go into politics and what just happened, with abortion rights and all that stuff. But now you have this where these are national cases brought forward, inappropriate behavior. It's brought out into the spotlight, and these women, instead of being heralded as heroes, it's like, oh, he got 11 games. All right, he's going to come back and play football. It just completely got swept under the rug that these women's rights got infringed upon, because we can't say violent. Remember, there's no criminal, but there was something there that happened, and we're just kind of brushing it under the rug and saying that 11 games is 11 games enough when you try to put your penis on somebody. Is 11 games enough when you used your position of power on somebody who had less power than you? You know what I'm saying? So we got, I don't know. Like that's the kind of shit. Now, if I'm just talking football, yeah, he was off for a year, 11 games, now 5 million. Now here's where the other problem I have is the $5 million. Yes, it's a record fine, right? But if what we're saying is that the behavior is quote unquote egregious, that what he did was quote unquote creepy, where's the stipulation for help? Where's the stipulation for therapy? It's not their job. It's not in their business. But if you want to look good, if you want to come off,
Mike, but it's gotta be consistency. So they protect the quarterback's blind side, right? They protect the quarterback's blind side. They protect everything else that they need to protect as far as for their image and all that kind of stuff. But they protect defenseless receivers. You get thrown out the fucking game for that shit. But they don't protect a defenseless civilian against one of their employees.
And last but not least, Dre, this is where I hopped off the Deshaun Watson train, bro. Let me tell you something. There was nothing that you guys could have talked to me about rooting for Baker Mayfield. And I don't like the guy. Never did.
I don't like him either. I don't fucking like him.
He's not my cup of tea. Not that he's a bad guy, not that he's a bad quarterback. Just never been the type of guy I root for as far as how cocky he was, the way he is.
His commercials are bad. His fucking commercials are bad.
Check this out, bro. Browns somehow managed to have me want to root for him the first day they play against the Carolina. And I'll tell you why. Because and I don't want to curse, the effing statement that Deshaun Watson came out with after the verdict.
Yeah, he's too emboldened.
Zero accountability.
Yeah.
Zero humility. Zero. Now, some people will be like, yo, but he's standing on his own 10 toes saying, I didn't do it. Whatever. My man, the allocution, the minute you said and you gave in to the whole 11 games and you didn't fight and you kept going with it, and no matter what the pressures around you were, you gave in to that narrative. So because you did that, you cannot stand in front of us now and say, I didn't do anything. I'm innocent. I didn't do no, brother. The minute you accepted this and didn't fight it and didn't put your career on the line and say, well, F it, man, I'm gonna put my word down and then fuck it. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
That minute you said, okay, yeah, I accept this. Well, you accept this, you accept everything that comes with it, including the fact that people are gonna imply what you did. And I promise you, when you sit there in front of everybody and it's a slap in the face to everybody who's you bent over in front of and ask them to play with your butthole and say, I'm innocent and I'm still innocent and I'm like, bro, right then and there, bro, I promise you, I was just like, I'm off the Deshaun Watson train. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying he can't ever redeem himself. I'm not saying, it's like for everything, but I'm like, but right now, let's go Baker. Let's go Baker freaking Mayfield, and I want them to beat the shit out of the Browns when they play them because the
Yeah, but
Browns.
how come there's no penalty for the guy who, watched the door to make sure nobody came in while this crime was happening, or while this, predatory behavior was happening, which is the Houston Texans.
For the
They
Texans,
went farther. They even provided NDA. Like, dude, there's no where is that? They literally were the people who were like, yeah, you go do that to this girl, and we'll watch the door to make sure nobody comes in.
great point. They can, where is the? This is where the. That's why I was talking about how the NFL, they really got off scot free. Like they coming off like they're the good. Like they did the extra. Like they did the extra. Bro, the extra. Let's go. Where's the ownership? Let's go. Where's that Texas ownership that knew about 60 massages? Where's that? Where are those people that paid for private flights for these girls to come in? Where is the real accountability? It's bullshit, bro. It's all a smoke screen. This 11 games, he got a slap on the wrist. You know what? Deshaun Watson is just a part of the issue. He's just a part of the issue. He's a part of a bigger issue. And if you see, and this is where and I'm going to catch heat. Where I'm going to catch heat is women are each other's worst enemy. Women are each other's worst enemy because right now, yo, if they were about that shit, they would shut down this damn NFL because this is bullshit, bro. Especially with the way their rights are under attack in this country, they should have shut this shit down. And it's sad that I'm a man being as passionate and I haven't seen shit from these feminists out there going crazy talking about, yo, 11 games is not enough. This guy should be shut down for more than that. And the Texans should be got. We should go after the Texans. You know what I mean? But again, it's the NFL. They're doing what they do. They're the type, they don't put out the video. They don't do anything until the video is out. They're the type that they don't talk about the hotel beating that the girl got until after the video comes out. They don't talk about this 60 cases until after everything's been settled. You know what I'm saying? They're the biggest like they just drive me. It's insane, bro.
But they're not any different than any other company in society that would do the same thing.
Of course, AK. You're right. It's just frustrating, bro. It's frustrating because of the angle. And again, I credit you because you said that day. And before that, I was kind of just being a wise ass about the whole thing. I didn't really dove into the whole, aspect of the, and I sat there and I was like, yo, you said you were like, nah, man, F that guy. I'm a girl dad. And I was like, yo, you're right, bro. Especially the way I am with my daughter, to have some guy that's in a position of power, you know what I'm saying? Put pressure on her. And if you think about it, okay, we're thinking NFL player, whatever. What if it's high school locker room and it's a cheerleader and a player? What if it's a doctor's office and it's a doctor and a patient? What if it could be a million and one things, bro? But the point being, it's, yo, who's gonna defend that? You know what I'm saying? Who's gonna stand up for them? Who's gonna say something about that? And I promise you, women should really stand up and ask, what about the Texans? Where's the accountability for the Texans? That's another thing, bro. They're getting away with murder. That's crazy. But my bad. That's my rant for the day. That's my fucking rant on that subject. What do you call it? Yeah, man.
But it's not only them. It's also the Commanders owner. Like it just continues, man. And the NFL is always about protecting the shield, which is why they're kind of like put the Texans thing to the side and put Deshaun Watson on the forefront, right? It's the face, right? Now it's Deshaun Watson now. It's not the Texans because the Texans represent more of the NFL than Deshaun Watson. They're going after the Deshaun Watson, the person right now. So they gave him a week deal, a week suspension, and they're we're gonna do the right thing. Let's go and try to get him more now. So they're looking like the good guy, even though in reality they didn't do nothing to the franchise that actually started all of this bullshit.
Yeah, we got Alejandro in the background talking about, yes, Javi, you're right. Yeah, he's true. He hit. It's that boys club, man. That boys club is not getting penetrated, bro. Not like Deshaun Watson did, but that boys club needs to get broken up because it's there are a bunch of owners, billionaires get behind closed doors, and they're like, I won't tell on you, you don't tell on me. You protect me, we protect you, and before you know it, the Redskins get a slap on the wrist. The Patriots owner gets a slap on the wrist. Freaking
But look who they go after. John Gruden, right? They go after particulars. They go after particular people to basically protect other franchises. And this is the crazy thing right now. Look at what they did. Now Deshaun Watson's on. All right, now we're going to suspend them. But while he was on the Texans, he got no suspension.
Crazy. crazy, crazy, crazy times we're in, man. More so, I just, if anything from this, man, my thing is like the the lack of accountability, it's just the lack of empathy towards the women. You know what I mean? It's just been real. Now it's all about sports. It just became all about sports, and then we just glossed over the fact that these are human beings that got this done. But whatever.
Yeah.
All right, we could talk about this for days. It's one of those touchy subjects. But what do you call it? We were gonna go into Cristiano Ronaldo. You still guys want to cover that guy? His fall off. I know Dre, you there?
They got back. Yeah, that means he's in. That means he's
Let me
in.
know, bro. I know you guys been itching to talk about Cristiano. Fucking
I'm
falling off.
here, man.
Talk to me, man. What's the word? You said I know yesterday you and him went in. We were deep diving into my man Cristiano. What happened?
Right. Mike, so let me tell you what happens, bro. After a while in a career that's so spectacular that you have to nitpick to find issues with it, it becomes too hard to maintain that standard after the physical aspect. You may be mentally sharper than you were at 21, but the physical and the mental go hand in hand.
The PEDs don't hit the same.
And besides, now he had a lot of skill as well. Whether he did that or not, he's
Sure.
very skilled. Kicking the ball, one of the best. Him, David Beckham, Roberto Carlos, a few other guys, some of the best at striking a soccer ball in history.
Mm-hmm.
So that has nothing to do. Just like the baseball, you could pump all the juice you want, you still got to hit the 100-mile. You know what I'm saying? So I don't take anything away from him skill wise, but I just feel like he lost a step.
She wants to know what's
And
happening with Ronaldo.
not the James Harden step in the NBA, like the step that gets him open and the step that makes him into a creator and
Elite.
not just somebody who has to wait to be created for.
Right.
That's what his problem is. Cristiano's problem is that he would play with the flow of the game, and then when he needed the ball, he would go back and get it. He's not able to do the same things anymore. And I feel like the frustration of not having he has the same problem Messi has, as far as their club teams are better than their supporting cast of their country's teams.
Right.
So the pressure comes when you're, along with Messi being called the best in the world, being asked to prove yourself at the World Cup, but your country's players are only 50, 60% of the guys you got that nice playing with. So, but being the best in the world, you don't get an excuse. You don't get to throw that in as a towel. You got to do it. You got to get it done. You didn't win the World Cup. You're no good. But as far as Cristiano Ronaldo moving forward from 2022 moving forward, I feel like what he needs to do is focus on having a great World Cup, not even winning, being somewhere in the top of the goal scoring, so that at the end of the day, when they're tallying up the best strikers ever, his name will be in the top 5. Because right now he's bordering on the top 5.
I got a question for you. As somebody who's an outsider when it comes to soccer, looking in, I feel like on the world stage, and again, I could be completely off because I don't know the sport, but it's just a slight observation. I want to see what you guys think of it. On the world stage, I feel like Messi gets a pass that Ronaldo does not.
He doesn't.
Am I right on that? Was I right on that?
Nah, you're not. Messi don't get no pass. Messi,
I'll comment a little bit on that after Andre. Go, Dre.
I feel like Messi gets more
Oh, okay.
scrutiny, in my personal opinion, because Argentina, they don't have it, man. They have a lot of attacking players. They don't have a balanced team since Juan Sebastian Veron left. They don't have a balanced team for the last
they're like, yo, he knows his shit.
16 years. Javi, you agree or no? They haven't had a strong defensive midfielder. They haven't had the balance in the game like they used to back in the day. So their transitions are off. transitions are what makes Messi go. He's fast. He when you counter, you can't recover fast enough for what he thinks about doing in that space of time. But if there's no countering, if there's no winning the ball in the defense and playing it out of the midfield to him, he's only half of the possible player that he can be.
You know, I'm gonna just go a little bit further, and you're absolutely right. Like, the defensive midfield hasn't been there for Argentina for quite some time, but I think they've gotten better over the last couple of years.
Okay, I'll take that.
You know, we could go back into the 90s when Diego Simeone was a defensive
Simeone.
midfielder. You know, yeah. So, like, I get what you're saying, but it's not like Argentina wasn't good defensively, because when they went to the World Cup final in 2014, that knockout run, the knockouts run, they didn't give up a goal until the final game, you know, and it was their defense that kind of catapulted them. Wow.
Do you agree that was more coaching style than players' choice?
Yes. That was definitely Sabella that basically put that game plan together, because as great as Messi is, you know, it gets to a point that you got to strategize yourself with your team, because they didn't have that defensive greatness that they used to have, like, back in the days. That's why Spain was really good for like a good 5-6 years, because they had a lot of great midfielders. If you actually take a look at that German team, a lot of great midfielders that won in 2014.
Exactly.
The 2018
when France won
the World Cup, great midfielders.
That's what I'm saying.
The midfield makes a big influence on counters.
That is it.
Mbappe was all by himself on counters because the midfield was doing their jobs and just basically lofting it to him to go one-on-one with defenders.
Exactly.
You know? So let me bring it back. As far as Lionel Messi, does he get the criticism as much as Cristiano Ronaldo? Yes, I will say, because he's expected to always win. Right.
All the time.
And if he doesn't win, here comes the criticism. That's why in Spanish they called him pecho frío. Why? Because when it came to the big games, he wouldn't do anything, and they would put it on him, like, you're so great, but when it comes to the championship game, you're nowhere to be found. What's going on? Right. So with Cristiano Ronaldo, he gets kind of the same thing. You know, now the one thing is that Cristiano Ronaldo's personality gets to people. Right, he has that conceited thing about him. So when he's not winning, a lot of people are laughing at him. While as a lot of Lionel Messi, when he's not, there's people trying to say, "Oh, but what about the rest of the team?" So it's like two different ways of going about it. Both great players, man. You could call one A and you could call the other one B. It's just which one you want to pick right now. But I agree.
Great take, bro. Great take just now, because that's the difference. That's the slight difference, the subtle difference right there. Ronaldo is the villain because of what he needs to do to be as great as he is. Yeah. And that's not fair.
Of course. And
that's not fair.
I never thought it was fair. I used to always say, like, why? He's great. Let's just put it that way. Why are we trying to make him less than what he really is? Because as much as I think Cristiano Ronaldo was the best player of this generation, but people are going to tell me Messi, and I can't really argue that much against him.
Right.
I just think there's a 1A out of this one, and that's my 1A. But you're absolutely right about the 1B. Now, is Cristiano Ronaldo losing a step? Possibly, but he might be on the worst Manchester United team in the past 30 years, man. You know? So it's kind of hard to be he's still a great player, possibly not the great player he was like 6-7 years ago. But when you have a team that has less talent, even though it's a big name club, there's really not much you can do, you know?
Right. That's facts. Javi, that was a great take, man. Great way to explain it. For me, I would say that some players aren't made to be compared with each other. Like they were just asking a French defender who was the best player in French history. And Thierry Henry was on the broadcast. So he was like, that's easy, Titi. Henry smiled for a second. And then he was like, I've been struggling with this question since I saw Zidane do what he did, because before for Henry, it was Platini.
Michael Platini, yes.
But then when he saw Zizou came through and do what he did, He said no one can ask him to compare. They're both his favorite in different ways, and he's gonna leave it like that. He'll never disrespect Platini. He'll never disrespect Zidane.
I'll tell you,
and that's the way it should be.
I'll tell you like this, man. Juju was the shit.
Oh my God,
that guy was magical, bro. Like,
Mike, he was bad with like an attitude, bro. Like,
and watch out, he'll headbutt you.
Yeah, bro, he was bad, Mike, like me.
He's like me. All right, fellas. And that's a wrap for our show.
I think you got to acknowledge that comparisons are always tough, right? Like, who's to say that Andre's Haynes wife beater is better than Hobby's Fruit of the Loom wife beater? You know, like one could be a week old, one could be 2 months old. You know what I'm saying?
Yo, you got it in, AK. You got it in, man.
He had to. He had it. He's like, yo, I gotta get one in before we're out.
You never miss a week, bro.
So, ladies and gentlemen, I want to say thank you so much for joining us in our living room, in our barbershop, in our version of, the everyday conversation, the water cooler conversation. This is our little language and our favorite language, and we speak is sports. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Sports is My Love Language podcast. I'm Dimes, aka the Hopeful Romantic, aka the Feminist with Chauvinist Tendencies, and I'm here with my boy Javito El Colombiano. I'm here with my man Dre Major Money and my man AK Brat, AK. Yo, shout out to PD Pablo El Schefter for always dropping behind the scenes. And
take it easy, Pablo.
If you like what you saw, please like, share, let people know about us, man. Let people come join us every Thursday night. We're gonna be leading you into the Thursday night football games. We're gonna have some commentary. Pretty soon we're gonna be having our fantasy football league. We're gonna try to get an order together for if you want to jump in and be part of our fantasy league. Let us know. Inbox me. You can put us go into our group, our Sports is My Love Language group on Facebook, and drop a comment. We'll add you in there. See what we can do once everything's all tied up. But ladies and gentlemen, they say there's 2 important days in your life: the day you're born and the day you find out why. Well, thank you for walking in our why. Appreciate you guys. Have a good one. Peace.